Welcome to Adventurin 101. I'm Uncle Cletus. I fought and killed damn near everything across the 9 realms, and it's my job to keep you alive. Now, today we are talking about barbarians. Frug, what do you know about barbarians?
They're the angry, half-naked great axemen, yes?
Correct. Though the half-naked part is optional, unless, of course, you're serious about being a barbarian.
What do you mean?
Well, barbarians can wear medium armor, but I've never met a professional barbarian who wasn't half naked.
So, do barbarians always use great axes then?
Not necessarily. Barbarians can use all of the simple and martial weapons and shields, but when all you can do is get angry and swing a hunk of steel, it helps to have the biggest hunk of steel you can swing.
Must take a real genius to swing a hunk of metal around.
I know you're being facetious, Roan, but the reason barbarians are typically dumb is because they're connected to the primal forces of the multiverse. And primal forces don't play well with higher order thinking. They leave that to the weaklings in the pointy hats.
Touché.
Now I'm going to teach you everything about barbarians up to level 12.
Why only level 12?
Because most adventurers are either dead or retired by level 12, so I'm not gonna waste my breath. But if you really want to learn more, just head to the front desk and talk to Tiffany and pick up a copy of the Adventurer's Handbook. It's only about 5 silver, and it's full of a ton of things that I might not cover in class. I'll link it on the screen or in the description, whatever that means. The Guildmaster told me to say it.
Why are barbarians always so angry?
Well, that goes back to the primal forces of the multiverse. Barbarians channel things like a predator's ferocity or a storm's fury, and those things are not very nice. But barbarians channel that power to fuel their rage. And a barbarian's rage is not just anger. It lets them do all sorts of crazy things.
What, like swing their stick extra hard?
Boy, it's not a good idea to make fun of barbarians. You know, because of the whole rage thing. A barbarian can enter a rage in a split second, and the stronger they are, the higher level they are, the more often they can rage like that. And once they're raging, a barbarian gets resistance to all physical damage. They get additional damage on their attacks, and they have advantage on all strength checks. Now, to a lesser degree, everyone can rage. It's like when mothers lift off broken carriages from their babies that are underneath them. It puts their bodies into an overdrive. But that, multiplied by 10, is what raging does for a barbarian.
These rages sound nice. Are there any downsides?
Well, remember, Frug, barbarians are channeling the primal forces of the multiverse, which doesn't leave room for higher order thinking. So, they don't have the ability to concentrate on spells or try to cast one.
They don't have the brain power outside of raging either. So how long do these rages last?
Only about 6 seconds.
That's not a long time. Says your mom.
Speaking of higher brain power, no, 6 seconds is not a lot of time, but thankfully barbarians can extend their rage for up to 10 minutes, as long as they're not incapacitated or trying to put on heavy armor during that time frame. But in order to keep that rage going, they have to do one of 3 things. They have to make an attack roll, or force their opponent to make a saving throw, or use their bonus action to keep it going.
If barbarians can wear medium armor, why are they always half naked?
Because the primal forces of the multiverse give their bodies natural armor when they're not wearing any. Their armor class becomes a combination of their constitution and dexterity modifiers. And they can also use a shield while they're not wearing armor, but that's not usually their MO. Now, in addition to their unarmored defense, they can master up to 4 weapons at a time, although they can change those weapons on a long rest.
If they're masters of 4 different weapons, why do they stick with great axes?
Branding, my boy, branding. Though I should mention that barbarians don't start with 4 weapon masteries, they start with 2 and gain more as they level up. Now at level 2, barbarians gain 2 different features: Danger Sense and Reckless Attack.
Danger sense? That sounds interesting.
Now with Danger Sense, you get the uncanny ability to know when something's not as safe as it might seem, which gives you advantage on dexterity saving throws, unless of course you're incapacitated.
That sounds like a great power.
Yes, and it comes with great responsibility. Unfortunately, barbarians rarely use that ability because they're too busy reckless attacking.
Figures.
When a barbarian makes his first attack roll, they can throw caution to the wind and decide to attack recklessly, which gives them advantage on strength-based attacks. Unfortunately, that has the downside of giving everyone else advantage against them.
So it's kind of a high-risk, high-reward scenario.
Precisely. I knew a barbarian who said you should always attack recklessly because you should always be fishing for crits. Now, I'm not sure if I completely agree with his philosophy, but it seemed to work out well for him. Which reminds me. So Jimmy put on his scale mail bikini, picked up his greatsword, and carved our way to safety.
What subclass of barbarian was he?
He was Path of the Idiot, and we loved him all the more for it.
That seems like not a real subclass.
That's because it's not. Now, at level 3, barbarians get to pick between one of 4 subclasses: Path of the Berserker, Path of the Wild Heart, Path of the World Tree, and Path of the Zealot. We'll talk about those paths in a minute. They also get something called Primal Knowledge.
Do you mean like the knowledge of prime numbers?
Boy, Akara. Now, while barbarians are raging, they can channel those primal forces to make skill checks in acrobatics, intimidation, perception, survival, and stealth.
I find it hard to believe that primal forces of destruction would ever give some hulking, angry person stealth abilities.
You'd think so, and normally, you'd be right. Normally, they'd use primal forces of big cats to sneak around. But I once knew a half-orc barbarian named Grog who channeled a storm's fury to intimidate people into not seeing him.
What?
Yeah, he would walk by guards and shout, "You do not see Grog!" And they wouldn't. He was a very funny man. Rest in peace, Grog. Now, at levels 4, 8, and 12, you get an ability score improvement, or you can pick up a feat.
Why would I need another foot? I already have 2.
Akara. Feat meaning feature, boy, not your dang foot.
Ah, silly frog. But why would I want a feature instead of approving my abilities?
Because features let you do some really cool things. For example, the durable feat is great for barbarians. It increases your constitution, allows you to defy death, and offers you speedy recovery, which as a barbarian, you need. Now, there's a whole list of features, but we're not going to talk about them today. We'll do that in a future lecture. If you want to know more before then, go ahead and pick up a copy of the Adventurer's Handbook, and you'll be good to go. Now, what's the best part about hitting level 5 as a martial?
Getting to kill your enemies with a single blow.
Finally being able to memorize a spell. Getting a sixth sense about where danger might be coming from.
No, those are your abilities. Acarissimo! It's getting to attack twice in a single turn. Now at level 5, not only do barbarians get an extra attack, but they also get a speed boost to 10 feet as long as they're not wearing heavy armor.
10 feet of extra movement, you say?
With that, you might just be able to keep up with us walking through the market.
Make all the jokes you want, Nox, until he hits level 7. That's when his instincts kick in.
What do you mean?
Well, at level 7, barbarians get Feral Instinct and Instinctive Pounce.
So like a house cat.
I will bite both of your ankles.
Please, you couldn't clear the tops of my laces.
Now, there's no need for that. Turn your hat back. Now, Feral Instinct gives you advantage on initiative, and Instinctive Pounce allows you to move up to half your speed when you start raging.
So like a house cat with zoomies.
If you continue to harass me about my height, I will sever your hamstrings so that you will know the plight of all the little folk.
You can't do that until level 9. Have you ever wanted to get your hamstrings severed and your chest cavity caved in, all while being knocked back 15 feet?
No? Not particularly.
Then pray you never find yourself on the other side of a barbarian's brutal strike. Now at level 9, barbarians get an upgraded reckless attack, which allows them to forego the advantages they would normally get in exchange for doing extra damage and either knocking a target back 15 feet or severing their hamstrings and slow them down.
Mistress Cauldrons, that's brutal.
Hence the name.
I like this ability.
Of course you do. Now the final upgrade all barbarians get before level 12 is Relentless Rage.
That's their secret, huh? They're always raging.
Nah, they're just too angry to die. You see, when you're fighting a higher level barbarian and they're raging, you have to kill them outright. Otherwise, when you reduce their HP to 0, they can make a con save and bring their hit points back up to twice their barbarian level.
Can they do that forever?
Sorta, though it does get more difficult for them to make that con save every time they do it in between a rest.
So less relentless and more annoyingly, increasingly difficult to put down.
Try fighting some half-naked man who's coming at you all angry, and you're sure you put him down twice already, and he won't stay down. And tell me that that doesn't feel relentless. I've fought storm dragons with less will to live and take you down than some barbarians out there.
I see.
But that's just what every barbarian can get. So let's now talk about the subclasses, starting with Path of the Berserker.
Aren't all barbarian paths just different flavors of unadulterated violence?
No, only the path of the Berserker is pure, unadulterated violence. The rest are attuned to different primal forces that have different purposes. Now at level 3, Berserker Barbarians get the Frenzy ability, which lets them deal a much greater amount of damage when they're reckless attacking.
Greater situational damage. Noted.
At level 6, Berserkers can enter into a mindless rage, which allows them to not be frightened or charmed while they're raging. It also allows them to throw off a frightened or charmed condition if they have it before they start to rage.
So a Berserker needs to be put down, not just talked down.
Very much so. It's hard to reason with a tornado, an earthquake, or a mindless raging menace.
Do they get anything else?
At level 10, they do. Do you know the saying, talk shit, get hit?
That's the Necomurning family motto.
That tracks. At level 10, Berserkers get the ability Retaliation, which lets them do just that.
What do you mean?
I mean that if you hit them, they can turn around immediately and hit you as a reaction as long as you're within 5 feet. No need for them to wait until their next turn in combat.
Good thing I learned I'm a backliner. Do they get anything else?
They get one more thing at level 14, but we're not going to talk about that. If you want to know more about it though, you can pick up the book.
Okay, so they hit harder, and they're a little crazy, but at least they're not fighting like wild animals.
Funny you should say that. Let's talk about the path of the Wild Heart. Frog, have you ever wanted to be a wolf?
I feel like I'd rather be a salmon or a bear.
Out of all the animals in the animal kingdom, you want to be a salmon?
Yes, salmon are delicious.
Then it sounds like the path of the Wild Heart might be for you, because on all levels except physical, you can be a wolf, or a bear, or an eagle, or an owl, or a panther, or yes, even a salmon.
You mean to tell me that Frog could actually become a salmon?
Technically, no. But Path of the Wild Heart Barbarians use the primal forces of animals to power their rage, as well as give themselves spellcasting.
Wait, barbarians can cast spells?
At level 3, Path of the Wild Heart Barbarians learn the spells Beast Sense and Speak with Animals, but they can only cast them as rituals. Now before you ask, these are the only barbarians that can cast spells.
Well, that's just ritual casting. It's not like it's real spell casting. Feeling threatened? Not at all. Like I said, ritual casting is nothing compared to what I can do as an evocation wizard.
Ritual casting can save you a spell slot you might need at a crucial moment, so don't you knock ritual casting. Now at level 3, barbarians can channel 1 of 3 animals when they start raging to give them different effects. For example, they can channel the bear, which gives them resistance to all damage types except force, necrotic, psychic, and radiant.
Resistance for nearly 2/3 of all the damage types. Not bad.
Still though, it's not all the damage types.
You get what you get, and you don't get upset. They can also channel the eagle, which allows them to disengage and dash as a single bonus action during their rage.
They get to do both. Who's feeling threatened now? Hush.
All of you hush. Now they can also channel the wolf, which allows their allies to have advantage on attack rolls made against enemies that are within 5 feet of the barbarian. It's essentially pack tactics that wolves get.
Can they switch between animals while raging?
No, when they begin their rage, they just have to pick one of the animals that they can channel.
So how do I become the salmon?
Now remember, you don't actually become the salmon, but at level 6, these barbarians can start channeling the salmon, which gives them a swim speed equal to their walking speed. They also have the option of channeling an owl, which gives them dark vision up to 60 feet. Or, if they already have dark vision, increases the distance of their dark vision by 60 feet.
That's pretty handy.
Now they can also channel a panther, which gives them a climb speed equal to their walking speed, and they can switch between one of these animals on a long rest.
Why a panther? Why not a spider or a monkey?
Because panthers are known to drag their prey up into the trees, and when you can climb a tree, dragging the body weight of a kill behind you, I'd say you're a pretty damn good climber. Now at level 10, this barbarian subclass gets access to the spell Commune with Nature.
That sounds like a hippy-dippy druid spell.
It kind of is, but it's also incredibly useful if you're out in the wilderness, which is where these barbarians like to spend their time. Now it's useful because it lets you find bodies of water, settlements, portals to other planes of existence, and some other stuff within a 3-mile radius. Now speaking of hippy-dippy baloney, let's talk about the path of the World Tree Barbarian. Rome, what connects all the planes of existence?
Yggdrasil. You know, the world tree?
Correct. Now imagine the primordial force of the World Tree coursing through the body of an angry barbarian wielding a giant great axe. That's a terrifying thought, and you should be really glad most of them die before they reach level 14.
What happens at level 14?
Don't you worry about that. Now at level 3, this Barbarian taps into the power of Yggdrasil to give themselves two benefits. The first is that when they start raging, they get temporary hit points equal to their Barbarian level. The second benefit is that at the start of each of their turns during the rage, they can choose another creature within 10 feet of them and give them temporary hit points as well.
Do we get to keep those temporary hit points after they're done raging?
No. When the rage is finished, those temporary hit points vanish into thin air.
Bummer.
Now at level 6, these Barbarians can summon spectral branches around a target as a reaction. These Barbarians can then teleport that target to within 5 feet of them. And if there's not an open space within 5 feet of them, they can teleport it to an unoccupied space that they can see.
What's the range on those branches?
It's 30 feet from the raging Barbarian. As long as you stay out of that radius, you should be fine.
Whew.
Now, after the Barbarian teleports you to within 5 feet of them, they can then set your speed to 0 until the end of the current turn.
How often can I do this?
As long as you have a reaction and you're raging, you can do it.
Oh, yes.
If they can do that at level 6, I shudder to think what they can do at level 14. I know, that's terrifying.
For a squishy backliner like you, I can absolutely see why that would be terrifying. At level 10, the reach becomes 10 feet greater with any melee weapon that has the heavy or the versatile property.
Mistress Cauldrons, how?
Because the World Tree's tendrils extend from their weapon.
I like this subclass.
I thought you wanted to be a salmon.
Screw the salmon. I want to hit the Keeblers with the power of the World Tree.
Yeah, you do. Now, after hitting them with the World Tree, you can push or topple them in addition to whatever weapon mastery you're already using.
So what happens at level 14?
It doesn't matter, because you'll never encounter one. And honestly, no offense, I don't think any of you will reach level 14 either.
I need to know. Tell me.
Yes, tell us, so that Nox can add it to his list of potential threats.
You remembered I have a list of potential threats?
Of course, I remember everything my friends say.
You're very thoughtful, Frog.
Besides, how could I forget when you've got pigeons and nuns listed on it?
Please, Uncle Cletus, I need to know what happens at level 14.
All right, I'll tell you. At level 14, while they're raging, they can teleport up to 60 feet as a bonus action.
That's better than Misty Step.
Once per rage, they can increase that distance to 150 feet. In addition to that, they can bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of them with them when they teleport. And they can do that all as a bonus action.
That's better than Dimension Door.
Now, we all know Barbarians can rage for up to 10 minutes, which means that Barbarians in this subclass can teleport 60 feet every 6 seconds for 10 minutes.
Mistress Cauldrons, by the gods.
How wonderful! I think I might like this subclass.
Now, like I said, you're never going to encounter one of these Barbarians, and you're probably never going to become level 14 yourselves, so you really don't have much to worry about. Let's move on to the path of the Zealot. Now, these Barbarians get their righteous fury from a god or a pantheon of gods.
Yes, the Angry Nuns.
I knew you were afraid of them for a reason.
Hush.
Angry nuns indeed. Now at level 3, the path of the Zealot Barbarian gets Divine Fury. This means that the first creature they hit on their turn takes additional radiant or necrotic damage in addition to the normal physical damage.
Does the damage type depend on the god or pantheon?
Excellent question, but no. They get to choose the type of damage when they connect with their enemy. Also at level 3, the Barbarian gets a Warrior of the Gods feature, which gives them a separate pool of hit points that they can use to heal themselves as a bonus action.
They get extra hit points?
As every warlock will tell you, there are benefits to tying yourselves to great power.
And great risk.
Now at level 6, they get Fanatical Focus, which allows them to retry a saving throw and add an additional bonus to the result of that throw.
Compared to the Path of the World Tree Barbarian, that level up doesn't seem as powerful.
True, but the Path of the World Tree Barbarian is the exception to the level 6 Barbarian. It's not the rule. Now at level 10, these Barbarians get Zealous Presence, which allows them to scream with divine energy and give up to 10 creatures of their choice advantage on attacks and saving throws until the start of their next turn.
How often can they do that?
Well, they can do it as a bonus action, but they can only do it once per long rest. Unless, of course, they're willing to expend a rage to recharge the ability.
It feels like this path is a letdown after learning about the World Tree.
It certainly seems that way, but don't forget that all of the Barbarian subclasses can be properly terrifying to fight. Don't go thinking one is worse than the other.
So, that angry nun you mentioned earlier, Did she wear a bikini?
Couldn't tell you. I was busy avoiding her.
Bikini nun? Oh, you mean Sister Catherine. Lovely lady, and she's absolutely deadly with an axe. And you almost want to thank her for killing you.
I'd like to meet this woman.
I heard she takes confession on Sunday mornings, but do that at your own peril.
Don't meet that nun, Frog. It's not worth it. Am I the only one still concerned about encountering a Path of the World Tree barbarian?
Would you look at the time? Now, next class, we're going to be talking about kobolds, because I have another assignment for y'all, and we need to get Frog out there testing out this barbarian thing and seeing if he likes it. So, I'll see you next class, and get the hell out.